Hello, let's talk about how Azure helps to build better business processes and customer experiences with artificial intelligence. Specifically, we'll focus today on Azure OpenAI service. About myself, my name is Maxim Salnikov. I live and work in Norway, in the city of Oslo. I work for Microsoft and I have really nice job. I help developers to succeed with cloud and AI technologies. Personally, I build something for web since late 90s of the last century. I'm a big fan of the developer communities. I organize meetups, I organized few conferences, and you often find me on the stage, physical or virtual, presenting about web development, about cloud development, and about AI, about OpenAI specifically. Let me start from this bold statement. AI is not a future, it's here and now, and that's true. And the numbers you see on the slide from Gartner and Bain, they just confirm this statement. AI use multiplied during last few years in the companies, and 9 of 10 executives, they think about AI as a priority for the product, for the service, for the project they build. And of course there are tons of services and products available that already include AI features. And we in Microsoft are here to help you developers, businesses with enriching your product with artificial intelligence features. And we have over 1,000 employees working in a number of development center or research centers around the globe. As results of this investment, we have research papers, we have AI-related patents, and of course serious breakthroughs. Just to list a few of them: artificial intelligence breakthroughs or really big milestones, not only for Microsoft, not only for IT, but I can say that these are milestones for whole humanity. And if we just look at human parity, it's the time point when computers, when machines started to do something better than us, than humans. And you see quite impressive list of that kind of breakthroughs. For example, since 2019, computers are better in general in translation. Since 2021, computers are better in questions answering, and who knows what could be the next breakthrough. Maybe something related with arts, when computers are better than humans in I don't know, writing poems, etc., etc. And of course, thanks to this investment, thanks to these breakthroughs, we have a chance to expose artificial intelligence services to all other developers. So not only Microsoft can build in these amazing features in to their products, but everyone is capable now to do the same. And of course, after years of innovation in artificial intelligence, we have not just one product, not just family of products, but whole families or whole layers or levels of the products. Just to illustrate a few of them on that slide, it all starts from bottommost layer. Azure machine learning. Your data scientists, your data engineers will love using this service, where they can create models from scratch, where they can train models and later deploy models and manage and operate these models using tools they know, or you know if you are a data scientist, because it's all based on open source products. If you just want to start using AI immediately and you don't want to start with training your own model, we have set of ready-to-go models for you. For example, we have Azure Cognitive Services. Basically, this is a set of domain-specific pre-trained models, to work on particular domains like vision, speech, language, decision-making, and some more. For example, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, these kind of APIs are in production for years. They work perfectly fine. There are many products based on using these parts of Azure AI family. If you need even more specialization, we have set of task-specific pre-trained models. For example, and this is the next layer on this slide. For example, form recognizer, just amazing service, exposed again as a simple API. So the point is just to democratize everything, to make it very simple to use for the developers, for the companies. So API endpoint where you submit, let's say, JPEG with your like scan of invoice. It might be not perfect quality, distorted, maybe blurred or something, and form recognizer will first of all understand what's going on this scan, and extract all the entities, group all the entities into like relevant groups, translate if needed. For example, I use this for scanning my invoices in Norwegian language. And as a result, what I get back from this API endpoint is ready to go JSON with pretty much everything. All, for example, contents of the order, address of the legal entity, and pretty much all possible information, whatever possible to extract from this invoice or receipt or whatever. We, of course, actively use AI features that and AI services that we developed in our own products, and two topmost layers is about that. So maybe you heard about announcement of family of copilots. So it's not only GitHub Copilot now we have copilots for pretty much every single customer-focused product developed by Microsoft. And of course, Microsoft 365 is the best example here. Now we have kind of clippy, but on completely different level, right? Artificial intelligence that helps us to write documents, to send requests to data, and so on and so on. So there are many interesting things are coming and will be announced very soon. But as I mentioned, today let's focus on this one, Azure OpenAI Service, because it's pretty much in all headlines, in newspapers, magazines, blog posts, Twitter threads, everywhere. So I have no doubt that you already experimented with this and read some interesting articles about that. If we can sum up what's going on in these headlines, we can say like this title from Forbes: massive disruption. Disruption pretty much everywhere, in all areas of our life, in the way companies are working, in the way governments are working. And Microsoft founder Bill Gates, he says that that kind of breakthrough is comparable to another most important advances in technologies. For example, the invention of graphical user interface was the same level breakthrough in tech. As I mentioned, lots of content is already available on internet, like entertaining use cases, business use cases, 100 prompts for marketeers, 1000 prompts for content creators, and so on and so on. That leads to the fact, like some futurists predict that in a couple of years, almost everything that we see on the internet will be either generated or co-generated by artificial intelligence, by this like specific subset of AI, generative AI, and this is our today's focus. We'll see. That comes to the real businesses, to the real jobs. For example, agents who work in real estate, they actively use ChatGPT services in their day-to-day job, and they they say that they can't imagine how to work without these helpers now, and Microsoft is bringing these helpers into more and more products. Again, large announcements will be very soon about family of co-pilots, that raises questions or warning bells in some companies and organizations and countries. Yeah, how to survive in this rapidly changing and artificially generated landscape. Well, some policies needed, I believe, some guidelines, some rules, and on this example you see that folks from Stack Overflow are temporarily banned. All code answers generated by ChatGPT and then similar models, because it's perfect in creating code for the developers. Maybe they want to, I don't know, mark it somehow or find some other rules, but definitely they will remove this ban in favor of some policies. And I believe the same will happen, and happening actually, with educational organizations. So for example, New York public city schools, they quite fast banned use of ChatGPT on their machines, but of course this is not the way to go, right? There is no reason to ban super powerful technology. The point is to find how to leverage this. And same for whole countries. So one of the recent news was that Italy banned ChatGPT and then removed the ban after they found some understanding and agreement with OpenAI, after they improved data privacy or provided more transparency. So you see the scale of this breakthrough, right? That's serious milestone. Nice. So I set the stage. Now let's dive into some not technicalities. This is not very technical session, but at least some research, right? And let's start from taxonomy, because you might be easily get confused. So there is OpenAI, there is Microsoft, there is Azure OpenAI. How is all this interconnected? Not even saying about a bunch of other terms like GPT-3, 4, X, DALL-E, etc., etc. Yeah, let me provide full clarity here. First of all, OpenAI is a separate company, founded, if I remember correctly, in 2015 as a non-profit organization with simple to formulate but extremely easy to achieve mission. And now I will use my own words to formulate their mission. It's just about democratizing use of the superpower of generative AI for pretty much everyone. And the key point here is superpower, right? So there's something that is at completely different level than everything that was before in that scope. And Microsoft was one of the early investors who trusted this company in their mission, and Microsoft invested $1 billion to OpenAI just to help with computational power, because to achieve that kind of mission, that kind of goal, you need not only smartest data scientists on our planet, but also some tremendous computational power. In Microsoft, we have quite a few data centers, right? And our engineers, they chained tens of thousands of NVIDIA chips, specifically these chips are perfect in that kind of tasks. So they chained into very sophisticated and very let's say performant and fast kind of tool chain. And thanks to this, actually the magic happens, and the main artifacts of this research, of this usage of computer power, really large amounts of power. Yeah, OpenAI, basically we can say that they achieved their goals. So they created some artifacts, family of the large language models. And these models have different like names and different specializations, and of course different, let's say, versions. They continue to evolve, they continue to develop, but in the big picture, what do we have now? Set of models dedicated to text generation, text summarization, let's say text operations. First of all, it's quite easy to get confused here also, because there is GPT-3, there is GPT 3.5 and 4, and also ChatGPT. Yeah, so what is what? First of all, ChatGPT is a bit confusing name. It's both name of the service itself. So when you open chat.openai.com, you will see something called ChatGPT. So it's a customer-facing product, right, or service. And then this is not name of the model, but more approach how you interact with the models, and the models themselves are either GPT-3 or its successor GPT 3.5, or a specifically trained model for chat-like experiences, GPT 3.5 Turbo, like even more confusing name. And of course the next generation is called GPT-4. But in the big picture, it's everything that's about text, and Codex is descendant of GPT, let's say, X, specifically trained to generate code for us, for developers. But it can not only generate code, it can also explain code and help you to write documentation, for example, just because of that. And DALL-E, I hope you all tried DALL-E, Midjourney, and maybe some other image generation models. Basically, it's generation of images based on your text prompt. But you see, it still starts with understanding, of course. Here we reason about understanding from perspective of machines, of text, right? So this is why that also can be called descendant of GPT-X. But what about Azure? What about this cloud service from Microsoft? Okay, that's very interesting. Thanks to this early investment, Microsoft has now exclusive permission to use the models that we went through in commercialized services. And of course, we created service, part of Azure Cognitive Services, and yeah, we call this Azure OpenAI service. Basically, there are two options for you, and two and only options for you to use these models, GPT-X, Codex, DALL-E, either via APIs exposed by OpenAI company itself, but it's recommended mainly for research, for experimentation. Maybe it's not the optimal choice for your production-ready workload. If you talk about production ready at scale and everything, of course, Azure is the best choice here. First of all, if you already have something on Azure, this will be just a natural addition to your family of Azure workloads. Then all these models are available. Some of them are in preview, but we are quite fast in making models, like new models trained by OpenAI, available in Azure context. You have all the tools and approaches to fine-tune models. That's very relevant for business scenarios. And of course, like everything in Azure, you get enterprise-grade security, you have sophisticated role-based access model, and all other perks from Azure in that area. Last but not least, you are fully protected by what we call Microsoft Responsible AI Framework. It's initially built into Azure OpenAI service, like into all other AI services we expose. So we do our best to protect you and your customers and humanity in general from possible harmful responses from this API. Because yeah, it's not a secret that GPT models were trained on enormous corpus of texts publicly available on internet, and these texts were generated by us humans. We are fully biased, and it takes much extra effort to try to remove all these intentional and unintentional biases, right, from the initial material we have. So let's say model behaves well. Well, let's talk about capabilities now, because it's easy to get lost in the taxonomy and relationships of what is what in that area. Same for capabilities. There are so many of them, so sometimes you can say, okay, I convinced this is super powerful, very exciting features, but how can I apply something for my current or next project? I'm here to help you. First of all, we grouped everything into 4 large buckets. Content generation. This is maybe the most shiny part of all the story, where you have full potential of large language models. For example, you can automatically generate responses to some customer inquiries, and then your work, your job is just to review what was generated based on customer input, based on some enterprise data you can feed into this API, and we'll talk about this specifically. And then you don't have to write these answers yourselves. Summarization is the next large bucket here. Summarization of pretty much everything. Feed unstructured raw text, ask summarize this for me, provide more context if you wish, like long summary, short summary, whatever kind of summary, wrap into JSON if needed, and bam, you get it. And here I highlighted that you can also summarize social media trends. Code generation, I already mentioned this model called Codex, and we have commercial product based on that model called GitHub Copilot. If you didn't try it yet, I strongly recommend you to do this. I personally use this every day for building my hobby projects, and like real estate agents mentioned on one of the previous slides, I cannot imagine my work as developer now without this very smart Copilot. And all kinds of searches, and here we talk about quite sophisticated search, not just something by keyword, but something more intelligent, something more smart. If we look at these capabilities from other angle, and let's take like regular company, at least like from mid to large, and there are at least 4 departments, right? In vast majority of companies like that: finance, IT, we are all there, right? Human resources and marketing. And I'm not going to explain every single capability on that slide, just something that I highlighted. Folks from finance will love using these APIs, or maybe products you built on these APIs, for human-like explanation of like financial results, right? In IT, code generation for the Vim, and it's not only code, it can also generate, for example, queries to some databases, to query proprietary data models. Human resources, of course, there are so much like repetitive routine work, for example, on initial screening of the resumes, CVs. Generative AI is here to help, so it can be definitely kind of first line in that flow, and many other tasks. And marketing, just endless opportunities. Copywriting, creating ideas, slogans, texts, pretty much everything. Let's change angle again and look from industry perspective. Finance, retail, healthcare, comms, and media, just 4 industries I picked to highlight here, but of course it's relevant for pretty much every single industry you can ever imagine. In finance, you can build way smarter risk management tools. Retail, we love to be we love to get kind of special care from retailers, right? And super like hyper, not even super, but hyper personalization is something that you can achieve using generative AI in that industry, and not only in retail. So basically, you can create hyper personalized offerings, websites, everything, just based on data from multiple sources, and thanks to special like kind of prompts that you have to create as a prompt engineer, as a developer. Healthcare, maybe it's a bit too early to outsource like health critical or life critical tasks to these APIs yet, but first of all, it can definitely help you with automation of all routine and repetitive things. There are pretty many of such tasks in healthcare, like in all other industries. But not only, generative AI can help you and us and humanity with finding better alternative treatments. And I read a few articles about how AI helps to invent like new molecules for medicines. And back to communications and media, well, content creation, copywriting, image creation, it can be very innovative. Just a couple of real customer references. CarMax is a large dealer of used cars in US. What they say? They say that Azure OpenAI service helped them to achieve some task, and task is about summarization of car reviews. So they achieved this in few months instead of 11 years. They calculated that without that kind of service they would need 11 years to generate same amount of information, plus lots of optimization for their marketing needs. And in Europe we have a company called Strabag in Austria. It's manufacturing industry and the construction. So a completely different scenario. What they use Azure OpenAI service for assessing potential impacts of projects on earliest stage, and this is where it's kind of mission critical, right? So they trust this service, these models, and yeah, it helps them, for example, to predict when the weather will prevent using a crane on site. Something very, very serious and very important, right? Okay, I hope that yeah, now you I hope that I convinced you that this is really exciting times and exciting, amazing services. How can you start using this? First of all, I have a secret step. It's on the last slide, so stay with me, bear with me, and you will get super power. It all starts with requesting access as a part of our commitment to responsible AI idea. You cannot go and register your account on Azure and pay and start using this immediately. No. First you fill in a relatively short form where we want to hear a bit more about your company, about your industry. And then, yeah, so it's again for us to better make sure that every user of this Azure OpenAI service is, let's say, good player, and there is no potential for harmful usage of this. Then once you get access, you basically receive API endpoint, and you can send your first prompt, your first queries to this API endpoint. This is like completely new discipline, prompt engineering. I will say a couple of words about this during the demo. And yeah, expect much experimenting. First of all, with finding proper models. I mentioned quite a few of them for your particular task. Then fine-tuning your prompts, then fine-tuning some parameters of these prompts, and finally you will get your ideal prompt to actually achieve your goal from the first try, or like one of the first tries. And yeah, this is how that works. Then quite soon, if you work for enterprise, if you build something for the company, quite soon you will understand that, yeah, maybe okay, these APIs as is, they are fine, interesting, exciting, but they know nothing about your company data, right? And to build something valuable for your company, some service or product, you need to involve this in the loop. And how can you inject your own data? There are quite a few options are available, so you'll start exploring this one, and yeah, then you are fully ready to build your own product and share it with the world. This is how you can start, and before the demo, let me quickly answer the main questions and provide some illustrations to these answers. So before you ever send your first request to this API, you have to choose the model, and there are long selection of the models you have to deploy before sending API, and deployment itself is just a 1 second. And there are like a set of GPT-3 models like DaVinci and other from this family. There is also a model available in Azure called GPT 3.5 Turbo and a few more. So the answer is simple. If you, at least for the moment, if you want to focus on chat-like experience, chat-like interaction, the model called GPT 3.5 Turbo is the way for you to go. For all the rest tasks, pick the most powerful model first, for example, DaVinci 3, and start sending your requests. If like you found your perfect prompt that does its job, you can try to degrade to lower level and thus cheaper model. If it's still acceptable, the results, maybe you can stay there and save some dollars. But in the big picture, you operate with this classic, let's say, non-turbo models in a way like one shot, request response, while to operate with this 3.5 turbo, you have to send all conversation as a request, or like a starter conversation or all previous conversation you had, and then you get answer from the model. And on this slide you see that it's somehow structured by language called ChatML, chat markup language, that provides you full structure. You provide meta prompt, and we call this system, where you set the stage, where you explain some let's say essentials that will help to get fine-tuned prompts, and then you send request as user, get answers as assistant in this ChatML structure. The prompt itself could look something like this. So you have kind of order, extract mailing address from this, and then you can provide data itself. You can also provide desired format. Again, you just describe this as in a human language, and this is quite ironic, right, that we have to use human language to interact with the most advanced AI we have on the planet so far. And yeah, we receive back something that called completion. Basically, it's a response from this API, and you always operate with tokens in this in this universe, in this ecosystem. Token, this is the unit that large language models work with, and we charge per token you send and receive. How to create your own ChatGPT? This is a very interesting topic, and this is the way for vast majority of enterprise use cases to go. Yeah, and you can achieve this using multiple options, and maybe it's a good idea to start with prompt engineering. And on this slide I illustrate how to this slide is about how to give your own, let's say, essentials for your chat. And in this system prompt, we call also this meta prompt. Basically, you set the rules, set the policies, like what is this assistant about, how to answer on the questions that this large language model is not sure about, you can be very specific. And of course, you don't want this generative AI to be very generative, very creative. If you build chatbot that answers questions about your like particular product, your documentation, right? So you don't want to get answers from internet. You want to get answers from data you provided. On the next slide, how you provide the data. But basically, in this system prompt or meta prompt, you set all the rules and then you send prompt and get response. Now, finally, how to involve your own data into this flow is just one of possible architectures. Here in this example, and I will demonstrate this, we use Azure Cognitive Search as a source of your own data, but it can be any kind of data search, data storage you maybe already have. And in that sense, large language models can help you with two things. First of all, based on human-like request, and if you talk about chat, this will be human-like request, right? It will help you to generate search query for your search engine, for Azure Cognitive Search. In my scenario, it might be something SQL, so it can help you to create SQL query, and then based on results they received from your own data storage, they can convert everything back to human-like answer. There are many options to fine-tune your prompt, and this serves its own session or even set of the sessions. This new discipline, or I call this art or science, prompt engineering. So many ways for you to experiment with this, starting with one very interesting technique called chain of thoughts. If your model provided you like wrong answer, try to just add one simple sentence, explain it step by step, and you will see that the result might be very different and might be right after all. Another very often question is how exactly is my data processed? We have full clarity on that. You can always take informed decision. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time to dive deeper into that flow, but yeah, so it's geo-specific. So if you, for example, have your workload in Europe only, like it will stay within European boundary, and yeah, we have full explanation on that area. Now, before I dive, so not dive, but go to the next slide, let me run a quick demo, and we have only 2 slides left, and you remember that on the last slide there is a special secret how you can start faster with Azure OpenAI. Let me stop the slideshow for a second to run a couple of demos. Let me start from this one about creating your own ChatGPT for your own company. This is demo created by my colleagues from Microsoft, and this is perfect illustration of what I just presented. Just imagine there is company, enterprise, and they have health insurance plans for their employees, and I'm like employee of this company. I want to know what's included in my own plan. So I send human-like question, right? I interact with the chatbot after all, so this is not like very formalized query. I asked what's included in my plan that is not a standard, and I receive not just human-like answer, but also all proofs of the data we see in this answer. And since this is demo, it contains lots of kind of debug information. So if we click here, we can check what happened under the hood after we sent this request. First of all, this was our initial request. What is included, blah blah blah. So it's not like, let's say, a database query-like statement, right? This is just a sentence from me as a human. And to extract data from our own storage, in this case it's Azure Cognitive Services, but again it might be your own data database, ChatGPT helped us via prompt engineering to generate search, let's say, query like this. This is something that Azure Cognitive Services can understand and can give you answer. And at the same time, and so we send this query to Cognitive Services, we get some data back. And in meta prompt, we clearly explained to GPT 3.5 turbo model that is used here that your assistant for this company employees, you can take data, let's say facts, only from information that you receive explicitly in this prompt itself. Like, don't try to be creative. Don't try to show something that you learned from your previous trainings via internet data. No, be very concrete, be very specific. And in the same prompt, in the same system prompt, in the same meta prompt, another term for this, we pasted all the data that was found by Azure Cognitive Service. We called this sources, and then we provided our own query, not like a query from the employee, and basically this is what assistant responded. If we start to send like more questions about on the same topic, this all chat conversation will be sent back to this API endpoint, and this is how you build chat-like interactions. Let me switch to another set of demos, and we have Azure OpenAI Studio. This is basically a playground for this API, so you don't need to build your own product to start experimenting. If we load some ready-to-go examples, for example, generate email, we click generate. We provide some parameters for fine-tuning this, and we get what we want. Let me use something more concrete, something more, not concrete, but custom. So we have global Azure Bootcamp blog and something about Microsoft reactors. Let's try to, for example, request summary. Summarize an article, and instead of predefined article for this example, we will paste the blog itself. Let's give it a try to make sure that it's not hard-coded, all these interesting answers. Well, this is a very short summary, but that nails the whole point of the article pretty good. That was really short demo. How to have more demos and how to start again. Let me switch back to the slideshow. This slide, very busy slide, but it's here just to illustrate, just to confirm that we have full learning journey available for you to start your Azure OpenAI story, and I'll ask organizers to share this deck with lots of links with all of you. Finally, last slide, and the secret step is, folks, find me on LinkedIn, let's connect, ask me about how to start with Azure OpenAI, how to start with prompt engineering, ask me for more demos, and it's my pleasure to help. That's all from me. Bye bye.